rid of the cells because DNA is, and you take on that's another reason why couples start to look alike. And you take on the traits of who you sleep with. You know, you lie down with dogs. They say you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And
I'm more of like a non-confrontational type of person, and I just like hated it, and it forced me to grow.
My baby is my greatest blessing, but she's also the biggest change I've ever experienced in my life.
Old lady cleaning the bathroom, and we're just like, oh, we got a maid, you know, like, you're not my roommate. She was my roommate.
I do need for him to, you know, be able to control his emotions and control himself and not just want to pop
I
off.
need to know that you got me. If something goes down, I don't need you pushing me towards the danger.
I don't know if it was like a big lizard or a little iguana.
It got me.
Real?
It ate me. We're done because I'm passed out.
Because DNA is, and you take on that's another reason why couples start to look alike. And you take on the traits of who you sleep with. You know, you lie down with dogs. They say you lie down with dogs, you get up with fleas. And DNA, that's what DNA is. You know, traits, attributes, how people think, you know, all of that. And, you know, we can even tell by some of the things a woman says. You know, I can't think of an example, but I mean, if we ask you something, once we start talking to you and you kind of answering how a man would answer, or, you know, kind of in a masculine way, you say, oh, yeah, but she's been with a lot of guys, or a woman that has very heavy energy, which means it feels very dense, like to be around her. So, I mean, the energy is heavy, but, you know, generally women can feel energy better. Just like, for an example, and it's with the whole clean the house thing, it's a whole aspect to that. But basically, when a woman cleans her house, she puts her energy around the whole feel of the house. So, and generally, you can even tell if someone's in your house. Because one day I was walking in the house, me and my mother, it's a long time ago. She stopped at the front door. She said, when we went across the threshold of the house, she said, somebody's in here. I said, oh, who could be in here? And then when I walked in, the house felt kind of different. I was younger, so I didn't really know what. I was like, oh, it feels a little different in here. You know, I don't know. So she walked a couple more steps. And then she said my cousin's name. And then he got up and came out the back. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep. You know, Calvin left me in here. But that's my brother. He said, Calvin left me in here. You know, he went somewhere. And he was in the back. But she felt that somebody was there when she came in. Like she knew that the whole house felt different. You know, you've been in somebody's house before and you kind of get the feel of their house. Especially if it's a lot of junk everywhere. Yeah, you're like, oh, God, that house, she need to clean up. You know, it feels kind of heavy in here. So yeah, that's what that is. Or somebody's house that's real clean, you going there, oh, it feels light. You know, it feels kind of light and airy in here. Yeah, it's the same way with a woman. If she had a lot of men going through, she feels kind of dense and heavy. If she hasn't, or she's just been with one man for a long time, she feels light. You know, because women absorb energy more than men, and so I mean, and women can feel energy better. But yeah, I mean.
So, Carl, were you going to say something? Oh, I'm sorry. So that reminded me of something like, have y'all ever noticed that after you hang around like a guy for a certain time period, that y'all start taking on some of his traits? Have y'all ever noticed that?
Like, what you mean?
Like you start doing things out of the blue and you're like, why am I doing this? This is not even my personality.
No.
No.
Like my friends, but because I don't even think I act like my brothers.
Mm-mm.
No, because I remember one time I did like I was cool with this guy and like we had been spending a whole lot of time together. And then like out the blue, I was like, I had this urge to just like call people I had wrote off, like, and just other things. I was like, why am I doing this? Like it's weird. And so then like a couple days later, me and him was talking and he was telling me about his past. And I said, why was I like this the other day? Like I was just feeling like this and I know it's not me. He was like, yeah, that's me. Like, you feel my energy. And that's what made you want to start acting like that. I was like, interesting.
I mean, I feel like I've felt other people's energy before, but I don't think I've taken on their energy.
Has somebody ever said to you, "Where you get that from?" Friends got it. Like, where you get that from?
Regarding like something I
Just like
say,
anything, like you'll do something, or one of your friends ever said to you, "Where you get that from? That's strange." Where you get that from? Anybody ever said that
probably.
to you? Yeah.
I'd be them.
Huh?
I said I'd be the one saying it to them.
Well, yeah. It's okay. So, for example, that's one of the things they picking that up from other guys.
Mm.
Most women don't notice because it happens slowly. It happens slowly. It's a slow, gradual change. Uh, but yeah, I
So
mean,
guys get it from females? Do they act like yeah, some
yeah,
do.
yeah, of course, yeah, they can. But I mean, like I said, men, we don't absorb energy as
Oh,
well because our skin is thicker, it's more dense. We don't absorb energy that well. We don't feel energy, very well. Uh, so, but I mean, yeah, it does happen, and I mean that kind of goes into other things that old women used to do for their men as to the things that like the most women don't do now, like the modern women. Like they say you need to cook your man, feed your man. Well, some of the practices about that is because you put your energy on the food, he eats the energy. He eats the food. So you clean the house, your energy's in the house. Your energy's all around the house. So he's sitting in your energy, is surrounding him all the time. That's why older women, when back in the day, when men would go somewhere, a woman could generally tell if a man had another woman. She like, nah, you lying. You got a wife. You got somebody. Now since women have kind of got away from those practices, like, well, I ain't cook, I ain't clean, I ain't your slave. Now they can't tell because women don't cook, don't clean, and it was a whole tantra to it. It wasn't just cooking and cleaning because I'm his slave or whatever. It wasn't that. But that has been that knowledge kind of is been starting to be lost. So is a lot of things was not passed down to the younger generation of women. So they look at it and they don't understand and just see, the action. She cooking, she cleaning, she doing all this, but it's just more than that to it. It's just also spiritual reasons that go into that.
But don't you think it's also maybe like intuition? Sometimes, I mean, I feel like your case could be seen other ways as well. Like, the women may have been using their intuition, and cooking may have been because the woman couldn't go out and get a job. So now she have no other choice. And now women find other ways to serve that man with their energy as opposed to ways that they had no other choice in the past, but now they have new ways. Do you think that it also could be based on like perception?
What you mean, as far as what the woman was doing, that she didn't know what she was doing?
I'm saying as a
Yeah.
whole.
I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, that could happen because I mean, a lot of what I said earlier. A lot of times people do things haphazardly, but if you go further back, when we still had spiritual practices in place, then it was not haphazardly. It was done purposely. So it was done, women did it, to add an extra layer. They add an extra layer to a man's aura, which is scientists call it biofield. Like you add his energy to a man's aura, and that can add an extra layer of protection, which normally women could kind of pick up on another woman. It's like you come in touch with a guy and he doesn't feel like a man. Generally, a woman, yeah, using intuition, she can kind of tell if a man is single. But that's the same thing. It's spiritual intuition. Just like I said, women can sense energy better. And a lot of times they don't even know, what that is because, over the course of time, all those practices have been lost. So women, they don't know that's what that is, but this is just a spiritual intuition. That's what she's picking up on. So we're talking about the same thing. It's just like earlier with the faith and the manifestation. You know, uh, the doing it haphazardly. That's kind of like you playing basketball at the park. Doing it purposely. That's like pro league, NFL, NBA. That's the main difference. It's a difference between just shooting ball at the park and an NBA player shooting basketball. That's it's the same. They both playing the same sport, but one is completely different. It's on a major level, a lot higher level, and it's done purposely. A lot of things are done purposely. You know.
Okay. Did either one of y'all have like something to say or a question or anything or no?
Oh.
Y'all just kind of thinking. I mean, what y'all?
Well,
I see them kind of wheels turning.
you talked about you could tell, I guess, females different energy or whatever. In the beginning you were saying that you can kind of pick up on them without them ever saying anything. Touched on like the sex part, but what else type of examples do men pick up on females energy? Because I feel like a lot of people get me wrong, because I may look one way and then they'll come to this conclusion that they think they know me, but they really don't. Like, it's not who I am. So how can guys tell about, I guess, learn about a female by the way they carry themselves without it just being an opinion? Does it make sense? I don't feel like it makes sense, but it makes.
I understand what you're saying.
I know it makes sense. Well, one of the other things we can pick up. Well, there goes again. Okay, so they could be wrong based on kind of what I said. A pickup game at the park, NBA league. They do it haphazardly. And it could or could not be wrong. That's where the point where the senses haven't been trained to what it is, and you kind of get that from older men, talking to you, passing knowledge down. Hey, this is this, and you kind of get a feel for it. We can also pick up I can pick it up. I don't know. I can generally pick up if a woman is sleeping with men outside of the race, because they have like it's like a different feel. It's like feeling two types of energies, and it's like, what the hell is that? And it's generally a woman, she's sleeping with somebody outside of the race. Even one of the singers had it. I forgot the name of the group, but they talked about it, and the guys, they used to make them take. They used to make them take off if the guys would come back, and they would had been sleeping with you know, European women or white women because it would throw the sound of the music off. And the
Oh.
top musician, he could tell, and he'd tell them, "Hey man, you gonna have to take like a week or two off because it's throwing the sound off." And I forgot the name of the musician. I'll have to find out for y'all. But yeah, it happens to men too. I mean,
Okay.
so I mean, and a lot of stuff, men, like we don't say it or we don't know what it is. You know, that's why when you're in the club, if you with like some of your friends and you got an easy girl in the group, the easy girl always gets approached more. And y'all stand there like, why they call approaching this mom? And y'all kind of all dressed the same, looking the same. But the easy girl getting all the attention because we can tell which one is the easy one, just, based off the energy. Like a lot of guys, you don't even think about it like that or know that. But generally, we can tell. And that's also one of the reasons why they say it's not good for women to sleep around. So back in spiritual practices, back a long time ago when we had our own spiritual practices, now you had women that did do that, but they knew how to transform the energy. So, but now a lot of those practices have been lost. So for a woman to just be doing it now, it's kind of like you're doing it out of time. There's nothing wrong with it if you know the practices to transform the energy. I'm not saying because a lot of women they could use their energy to keep them looking younger, and also you can see like when a woman is celibate, she goes celibate, she stops having sex, they tend to age more. They start to look older. And you look at her, you be like, hey, you ain't getting on, is you? But when she gets on, you can see her face lights up. You're like, girl, what you been doing? That's what that is. Like she looks they start to look dull. They start to age more when they're not having sex because the women absorb the energy. They're using the energy from the man, and it's helping them stay young, transforming. But when a woman starts to be celibate, she starts to age more because you basically start to feed on your own energy. So they look dull.
So you're old?
Yeah. They don't have to necessarily be old. They can be young girls that do it and start to age more. They start to look aged. What's wrong?
Okay, so I have a question. So I know you mentioned a long time ago with spiritual practices, but honestly, like hearing it now, I probably say maybe since the pandemic or maybe like the last year and a half, that's when you start kind of hearing people talk about it. So to me, it just seemed like it just appeared out of nowhere. Like, the only thing I used to hear about when I was young was you had, what was it, like hoodoo, voodoo, and like witches. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden, like even if you're on dating apps or anything, all you see, like everybody's religion just about says spiritual, but not religious. So to me, it's just like, where did it come from? Like like Crystal was saying, now it's more popular and people are misusing the terms, but when did it start? Like, where did it start with? Like recently? Like, was it a famous person that started talking
about? I feel like for me,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like it got popular during like the coronavirus quarantine part because from what I see, a lot of people has lost faith in religion because of a lot of different factors. Like a lot of it is like hypocrisy. People don't practice what they preach and all those things. So people are like, I want to believe in something, but I don't want to believe in that. I believe in there's a high power. I see that all of this stuff is coming, so let me check and see, what this sage is. Let me check and see what this universe is and all that. So I feel like there's like, oh, okay, this may be a way. And also, I feel like we're in a time where a lot of people are starting to see things differently. So there are people that really are connecting because of that time. They were forced to sit down and sit with themselves and to connect with things different in a different way. That's what I think happened.
So will something happen to the people that don't really know what they're talking about, or is it just pretty much whatever? Like the ones that really understanding, I guess, like aspect of it.